I didn't mention it to you, but
Yeah, that's fine.
has it started recording already?
No worries. You seen these cheekbones? I don't mind cameras.
Nice. Well, thank you everyone, and hello. So what are we on? We're on TVP TROM with the UK team of volunteers here. We've got a full house nearly, which is great. New faces and old, always good. This week we went through the videos on slavery and advertising from section 2.15 and 2.16, as Lewis corrected me earlier. So I guess we'll these are fairly short videos, so we'll see if there's any questions or stuff that come out of them, and if we have time, we can go on to anything else. So slavery to start with. Does anyone have any kind of questions? It's a pretty short video, that one.
Just a quick one. I haven't seen the video, but is it about the modern idea of the slavery, like with the economic slavery, or is it about the original slavery, the dark stuff? Not the racist, the actual nasty stuff.
The kind of concept. The definition they had was that, well, to paraphrase, is slavery is any form of dependence. Whether that's on an individual, on a national, on a cultural scale, any sort of dependence is slavery.
Yep. I know where you are. I didn't know if you were on about, like, say, the previous generations of idiocy or the modern version.
Yeah, or the concept, really.
Happy days. I know where we are.
Was there anything? Did anyone disagree with the definition that it gave?
I didn't even know this.
He didn't what?
I had no idea that that's even such a thing out there, like a definition of this proportion. Because if it is, then, well, yeah, you know, because like nobody anymore can bring up such a thing as, oh, you have a choice, it's okay. You know, that literally disappears. And if you really read this definition to anyone who you're talking to, that's it. There is no leeway. I mean, but then again, I'm just curious. They could have really helped themselves out, really, if they sort of posted a source. Like, where do you get this from? You know what I mean?
It's that, I'm not sure if it was on anything to do with the Venus Project or the Zeitgeist, but somewhere on there's a little soundbite that back when it was the old school of slavery, like, you go and work for me, I'll give you a house and I'll give you some shitty food. You knew what you had. You knew you worked. You knew you had shitty food, and you knew you had a house. These days, though, you're told you're free, but then once you leave school with the care of your parents, right, and you say, well, I don't want to actually get a job. I say, well, I'm not going to give you any money, and it costs money to have a house, and it costs money to have food. So your only option is to work, so you can have either. So they say there's never been, even slaves were, at least they were honest about what they were doing to the people. As soon as you're free, or you're apparently free, unless you can find the lottery ticket, you're Lionel Messi and stuff like that, you're just going to be within some form of slavery. You get, what, 3.5 weeks off a year? 3 or 4 days of that has to be because you're a Christian. But it's ridiculous. It's forced. Your holidays are forced to you. You're forced to have 2 days off a week on a Saturday and a Sunday, the shittest days to have off in a week, because all the shops are busy, the pubs are full of idiots, and it's fuck all to do on a Sunday. But your 2 days off. You're deciding what your weekend is before the week's even began. Like, it's weird.
And they can change those weekends at any point as well. Like, I've got Fridays and Saturdays on my weekend, which is too bad, to be honest, because like Fridays I can do things through the day that he's doing. But again, like you say, we've got to take all this when they're available. Like, you can't have it, honestly. You know.
That's it. Even if people want to go to America and stuff.
Has anybody got any information on Qatar? Because I mean, if anybody, I think Aiden and Tom, you saw the video with the FIFA clip about Qatar being a slave state. I'm just wondering if there's any validity to that. I mean, I know that there are slaves there, but I didn't know, like, it was a slave state. Is it completely slave, or anybody know anything?
Not sure, mate, to be honest.
I seem to remember seeing a documentary.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, man. Okay, right. You probed my memory a little bit. Okay. So that's the one where the workers there have their passports taken by the state, and they cannot actually leave at all.
Yeah.
or if they do, then the process is so arduous that most give up during the process, essentially. I can't remember much more than that. I just remember, yeah, that one dude just sitting on sort of pavement, and the interviewer just sort of asking, so, do you have a passport? He's like, no, where is it? You know, the state taking it. Like, you're locked in. It's insane.
I don't get how
Like,
it can still be. It doesn't make sense how it still happens. Because when did Bob Geldof first get everyone together and get stoned and do that song, like 1986, and so that they knew about it before we had Facebook, where I could have a friend from Malaysia and a friend from Qatar and a friend from Peru. They could tell me the shit that was going on. We knew full well because we raised how many million on Band-Aid, and that was them saying we're going to change this, and 27 years later, I'm talking to you guys because no one's done shit. So where did that X number of million go? Because I'm pretty sure the governments of those countries still got rich, and I'm pretty sure all those countries we tried to help and the Band-Aid has raised money for, they're still getting pillaged and abused, and they're dying at 3 years old because they can't feed. So
It's
nothing's...
I can't remember who did a stand-up at the most recent Live Aid. I think it was the guy that does Nevermind the Buzzcocks as well. He's like a young kid.
Well, it's curly hair. You got long curly hair?
Yeah, he's Jewish.
Oh, yeah, I know the one you're on about. Yeah.
He said something along the lines of, which I thought was quite cool. Poverty isn't an issue that we can solve by just throwing money at it. And obviously, to me, that's like a really blatant. It's quite obvious to me. It seems blatant. Like you can't just throw money at poverty and expect it to, be better.
Mm.
But it was a pretty cool thing to say on mainstream media, and I think that quote quite well sums up the whole Bob Geldof thing. Because you just throw in millions at it, but where does that millions go? And even
That's
then,
it.
let's say like you build agriculture and things, in terms of like long-term sustainability, it's easy to just corrupt the process. It's too easy. So I'm not sure that anything can be fixed in the monetary paradigm.
Yeah, it's just got to go. It has to go. Like you say, there's no way of non-corruptibility when there's a monetary system, because the more money, regardless of which currency you use or however you deal with money and what paper form you give it or credit card form you give it, the more you've got when there's money, the better off you are. And factually, but the problem being that people that are really well off and have got $1 billion, all they want is another $1 billion. If they were happy to have $1 billion and go, right, well, someone else, let's share the rest of it out. The next $1 billion I make, I'm just going to give out. I don't need it. Then we'd be in a much better situation. But they won't. They just want another $1 billion. It's just like being a cokehead. They just want more of it. It's awful.
Not much for a choice though. I mean, it's like it's like anything. I mean, competitive online games or any fucking games. I mean, hopscotch or whatever the fuck it is. I did more than you. That's what you're taught. So it shouldn't come as a surprise when, you know what I mean, these people at the top, they still have the same one-up game as the rest of us, but they just have higher stakes.
Yeah.
If they are higher. I mean, I don't know if $1 billion really means that much to a trillion.
It can't do, can it? Because I think it's the Zeitgeist addendum, the second one, sorry, not addendum. It might be, I'm not sure.
It isn't.
But it explains the monetary system and the way it works. So that all that credit value, like there's the clock in America on Wall Street that they've had to take the pounds, the dollar sign away to put another fucking one on there. Building a new clock with 2 extra zeros. But how does that work? Because it's not actual cash. They haven't got that much gold, and they have no bastard oil. So what the government is doing, they know it's falsified. The general public know it's falsified. Any college student with Google and a brain knows it's falsified. So once they get into power, they're going to be going, we've got nothing anyway. So it's a weird one, but there is nothing there. There's not been anything there for a long time, surely.
As well, I think like with Britain goes into Britain and America jumps into Iraq or whatever, saying that we've got like weapons of mass destruction or they want to jump into Syria. They said that they use chemical weapons or whatever, but then they're not interested in Qatar, where apparently it's a slave state. So what's all that about? And then they have charities like Help for Heroes, who really help for uneducated, poor, mercenary thieves.
Mercenary thieves. I like that.
But yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, it's kind of what my mate said. Like when it all started off, like if we were really going somewhere to spread democracy or fight dictators, we'd be in like 20 different wars at the same now, rather than like what I mean. With all the different people that are going on, we just focus in on a few of these evil bastards and let the rest go. As an evil bastard, that's what they make us believe.
Yeah, I think it's wrong that poverty isn't considered violence in like the mainstream media, because I think like us here would consider it structural violence, because it's like if you've got the opportunity and the ability to easily alleviate pain, but you choose not to, then that's inciting pain. So I don't like it when poverty is seen as just like it's like this consequence of society. It's more something that's deliberate, kind of deliberate or intrinsic in our system.
Honestly, I don't.
So I mean, going back to the point, it's like if we were to fight terrorism or like evil in the world, it would be to be just, we'd be going towards a resource-based economy. Obviously, that's a lot of the shit. So
What I was gonna say is, shouldn't. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe it is surprising to some of you, but not really to me. I don't know if any of you have heard of a man called Aaron Schwartz. He's I don't know what the hell to describe.
Oh yeah,
Guy made
yeah.
Sorry, ads one more time.
Guy made Reddit.
Well, one of the many things that go under his resume, that's for sure. He's quite the head-on programmer, but of extraordinary skill. He essentially developed RSS, or worked on RSS when people were still just jerking off on dial-up. So it's quite a bit of a resume on the guy. There's a released documentary on his life and his contribution to, I don't know what you want to call it, some progress politically, I guess. But it's called Internet's Own Boy, story of Aaron Schwartz. And I mean, the guy hung himself. That's essentially it. That's the epitaph for the dude's life. You know what I mean? So he goes, he works his fucking ass off, joins, what was it, Harvard and MIT. He worked at Stanford. So he's a fellow with all these things, and wait, what is it? So, right, fellow at Harvard University. Okay. So clearly, quite ambitious and quite skilled. But again, because he wanted to share his view on how corrupt, like for instance, he downloaded like the whole law system. So he found out that the majority of the laws are actually sponsored by corporations, which when they pay certain law folks, they will review a certain law and make it additions or redraft it so that it's beneficial. The outcome is beneficial to the benefactor. So, I mean, it's all this. It just had a nice little graphic of, like a triangle. Just it comes in one end, it comes out the same, benefactor who gave the money benefits the most. And he wanted to do apparently, I mean, you can't check it because the guy is dead. But yeah, they basically trialed him for trying to sort of set it up commercial. So he stole all the files, apparently. He downloaded all the files from a specific server who charges you to view scientific journals. And one of the friends said that all he wanted to do is essentially to download all this stuff and then make a paper or an analysis on how specific individuals try to fund a anti-global warming propaganda. So that was his undertaking. But it didn't help that there was some kind of guerrilla free source manifesto, some shit like that, and it had Aaron's name on it. And so the persecution basically puts that to his folly, more or less. They thought that basically he's going to share all these scientific journals with everybody. And so they wanted to put him away for 35 years and $1 million bail. So yeah, it's quite the documentary. I don't know. It's just, I suppose it made me somewhat skeptical about this venture of humanity actually reaching even a fucking cusp of what we're talking about, what we're learning about. I mean, like it's just I don't know. It's all these people just getting fucked up, you know. I don't
I
know.
think uh, I watched Ben McLeish's V-Day speech again, lecture, sorry, and he was talking about culture, like how long it took for us to stop believing like tooth worms and stuff like that. And I don't know, just after listening to it again, more carefully, and thinking culture, like how long could we have this culture? Like, and it, I don't know, like with more and more people learning about a resource-based economy, I think maybe this is the like if nobody here was learning about a resource-based economy, then it never happened. But because people are, then there is that possibility that it might.
I don't know.
And
I
I think
think
as more and more people know.
it's a bit off topic, and I'm sorry. Like I just don't know. Maybe just once I get it out, people can sort of either shut me up with certain arguments, and that will be cool. But I think it's the reason why I'm talking this way is like those people, such as Athene. I don't know if any of you are familiar. He's like a gamer personality. He created a documentary called Athene's Theory of Everything.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
Right, but he's more known for his Athene Wins, which is a gamer channel, and he's just fucking around. But he's fucking around to raise money for like these folks in I don't know where the fuck it's in, but just asshole of Africa somewhere, where people just don't have water and all that. So he raised like I think what $1 million, literally like $1 million to get all these things, for kids to like balls to play with, which is I don't know, yeah, it's bizarre I guess when water is scarce, but whatever. They seemed that appropriate. Essentially, all I'm saying is, it was all this stuff. It was like organization. It was exchanges of emails and all of that stuff. And there was this like high pressured environment. High pressured, not really for the people that were involved in it, but the people who were on the receiving end. All these petitions created and all that shit. And I don't know. I think I can't really see that with TVP. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not sort of just gonna critique it and say, oh, well, yeah, I've done fuck all. I'm trying to look into these things, and I'm not. It seems I'm not really that able to suggest something viable. Let's just call it that for the moment. I don't think I am. So that's why I think I just go along with stuff, but I don't know. I mean, these Aaron Schwartz stuff. I mean, they were able to win against SOPA. I mean, that's fucked up. That's literally a bill that could have controlled the whole internet, and they won against it. I mean, that takes incredible fucking social engineering. Like, you're able to get enough people and the right type of people to get behind you to vote against. Like, it was literally what is it, like 80 something people voted for it, and then 50 people against it. And then literally overnight, it changed to 101 people against it and 86 people for it. Like, that's it, they won. And it's something that even the analysts said it's not going to be possible. Even the activists said, fuck it, it's not possible, but let's give it a shot. And they just changed it. But then again, see, this is the thing. They did all this shit so strategically. Like, they blacked out Reddit, Wikipedia. I mean, fucking Wikipedia, man. Come on. Like, the thing apparently is top 5 page visited and clicked on, so to speak. So they were able to black out all these things. And then once the, all these democratic assholes saw it, they're like, oh, so that's what would happen if we controlled the internet. Changed their mind. Well, not changed their mind, had their mind changed. Which was very cool, but that's the kind of powerful shit that I'm not able to conceive. Like, how does TVP fit into that kind of framework? How are we able to, what are you going to fucking shut off to say that, oh, TVP is needed? Like, what, are we going to stop hospitals? You know what I mean? I think that's the kind of impact that I'm looking at, and clearly if TVP had even a fucking third of that, it would just be stupidly important. You know what I mean? Like people would clearly then see the importance of it.
What
I
about
think
the motion picture?
But that's the thing. Even for that, like there's not. They have this slow process, and I don't know. Again, I can't, unfortunately, even speak about it because I have fuck all idea. Like I don't know what's involved in speaking to producers of, what does it involve? Who sells it? Who pitches it? To who? Like, does it matter? If the certain picture label will take you on, do you have a certain obligation to, go all PC and don't mention the fucking money system? Don't mention the cigarettes. What is involved? I don't know. So I can't speak, but it's slow. It's fucking slow, and we see all these things just like the world is burning, and I'm like clueless on how to help. So I just keep going with, I watch a TED talk here, I watch an article here, and I email the motherfucker or call them or attempt to, fill in a form and to contact like, hey, have you heard? But it's such a slow thing that I can't grasp its impact. Put it this way, right? There's no instant gratification that, okay, there's a red fucking hand in front of my face saying, shut the fuck up, I don't want to hear about it. At least it would give me closure. But now you're just in this void of, I'm trying to do the best I can. How good are you doing? And that's it. You're fucking stumped. Like, I don't know. There's no progress bar for my life.
Okay, two things. I'd say the test city is probably, in an age in the future where there'll be a lot of civil unrest because, without getting into it, capitalism will collapse, etc. But then if there were a test city or something similar to a test city, then that would be the equivalent of shutting down Wikipedia. It'd be equivalent of saying, look, this is what will happen if we follow this route. That's something physical right there. So, and like you said, that doesn't solve the issue that you brought up the second time, the second issue you brought up, which is the fact that I suppose to be gratified in what we're doing, we really want to see an outcome. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things about being an activist at the Venus Project is that we don't see change. I've been involved maybe 3 or 4 years, and I don't think I've made much of a difference. But the thing I would recommend, what I'm trying to do, is work to something long run. So I suppose you're good at what you're.
Sorry, Tom, you're cutting up.
Still. Can you hear me?
I think revolution as a kind of concept is actually, it's one of these things that people seem to think happens really quickly. But in actual fact, it doesn't. Even like the French Revolution had repercussions that didn't actually fall out until much later. So we're doing the groundwork. Like revolutions and to change actually anything in any way takes generations, really. So hopefully by the time we're like dying, we'll be halfway there at least.
Tom, do you want to try again? See if you're.
Yeah. What I was trying to say was if you can work towards a position of power whereby to incite change. This is not working.
I can hear you.
Trying to publish. It's like really.
Fair enough. You're cutting out pretty badly, bro.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, I think it's similar for me. One thing is, with all these problems, I know it's hard. I fall into this trap all the time. But when you get frustrated, it's because of your own expectations. You think you will have made a difference by now, therefore you get pissed off because you haven't. Whereas in reality, whatever difference you've made, and it's going towards the Venus Project, or it might not have. It could have even pushed someone the other way. You normally don't even know. But I'd say that, especially Tom, Ludus, Nick, you guys that have been around here, just by turning up here, you've helped a lot because we've all helped each other, because we've been, sorry for the new guys, we've been around for like a year or so now, talking, and we've all helped each other in numerous ways. and we've created a platform where more people can come in. And the amount of people that have come in, maybe not stuck around, but we've affected for a bit, and maybe they disappeared after a couple of weeks. It's hard to see what we do. So we really don't get any feedback from the environment for the kind of effort that we're putting in. And it is tough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I get frustrated a lot. Like, I mean, I'll talk to people that work about things like technological unemployment and climate change, global warming sort of thing, and say, look, like the technological employment, especially for our factory, is tangible. Like, this is the machine that's taking somebody's job. So like, look at this, and why don't we just let them? You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing this shit job when we could be working on something like, I don't know, at least slowing down global warming, making, I don't know, the world a lot nicer to live in, or like more sustainable, and then even going on to fucking space venturing style stuff. We'd be able to do a lot more if we weren't stuck in these shit jobs. And it frustrates me every day working in that shit job. But to be fair, I toss it off a lot and get away with a lot.
I'm sorry. I should probably at this point just definitely. There's a whole kind of fucking new tangent that I brought out, but it's kind of gnawing at my head, so I think I would have fucking started swallowing my farts or something, trying to get high if I didn't get it out. So thanks. Yeah. And well, it's not just that. I mean, it's not like therapeutic. I'm actually trying to, you know, I have no fucking idea what else to do. Is essentially what I'm saying. Trying, you know, doing all these emailing stuff, and one person replies, and you're like, ah, it's Christmas. But then the rest, it's like, it's just this one fucking tumbleweed. You know what I mean? Constantly. You're like, what?
Have you got any projects? Have you got any projects you're on with, Lou? Just like, you know, I don't know, creating of anything.
That's the thing. I don't even know how that looks. I don't, like, I've completely head crammed with shit that's in there, but I have no idea how to get it down on paper. And then if I do, I'm like, well, what are you gonna do with it now?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I've just, I don't know, man. Sorry, yeah, slavery and advertising, and I fucked it up for everyone.
That's right. I think we've done slavery. We'll move on to advertising. I just say, Lid, it's like, you know, enjoy experimenting. Like, if you feel like you're sitting there writing emails and you're not getting any feedback from it, then you don't know whether you're doing good or not. But it might feel better for you to try out something else, try a whole bunch of different things. Most of us here don't know what we're doing. We're just trying things out. And whatever works, we try and report it back to the group if we can.
Sorry, Tom. You might be right. I'm sorry. All right. Well, then I hope I can at least fill something in for advertising. I mean, I had a. All right. Actually, Mick. Then that kind of segues on to maybe an answer, a somewhat tangible answer. Graffiti, guerrilla posters, any kind of advertising tool, which is essentially you just pass a building or whatever that looks semi. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. PC, what's the PC version? Leaving a marking? I don't know. Whatever. Look, I was just seeing Banksy, shit like that, and I asked a one person, like, do they know what's the current law for UK? How to deal with it? Like, if I just propped a fucking huge banner on like a side of a bridge where most of the traffic goes under, it just, you know, Venus Project, Beyond Politics, Poverty and War, would that classify as illegal? So the beauty of it, I asked a policeman in the street, and he's like, nah, I can guarantee you that doesn't even go under police jurisdiction. That's actually the council matter. I'm like, yes!
No
less
way.
likelihood to be locked away. But that's kind of, because I come from that background. I mean, in Lithuania, we used to tag every fucking thing that has a surface, you know what I mean? It didn't matter. You just tag shit. And that wasn't even for a purpose. It's just, these are our names. Yay! You know, and now, at least I have some purpose to leave on the wall. So, I don't know, man. I need to work on some stencils, and that's, you know, that's something Because advertising, that's essentially right. So we're talking about advertising. I asked the human if he knew. He's like, look, I can't tell you. This is like too subjective. And besides, he left a quote by Banksy, and it was a pretty powerful one, essentially saying, who gives a shit? They didn't fucking ask your permission to put that, broad titty women, whatever the fuck it is, and, beer adverts on the side of the, bus station. Why are you asking? And I'm like, that's kind of reasonable. That's just what I have.
Did anybody see the? I don't know whether it was just around here, but there was like monkeys, like with some sort of protest sign that said something along the lines of "We will rule one day." It was all over, and it like normal graffiti that I see on the side of trains or on walls. I'm not interested, you know what I mean? But somebody had stenciled these in like particular places that made them more outstanding, and alone instead of like loads of graffiti at the side of it. It was just that one thing. So yeah, I'd go for that as well instead of doing it in the same old regular place. And also, I was in the bus station the other day, and there was like some Weight Watchers people handing out leaflets, but they had like billboards strapped to the back. Like they were walking billboards. Has anybody seen these people?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? It's just getting ridiculous now. Like there's a billboard in the TV station, sorry, in the bus station. We can look at that. It's like they're ramming it down his throats as if we've got the money to buy it.
Yeah.
As long as we had arable land, factories. What have you got in your park in schools? You got cannons in front of your schools, men on horses.
Ads?
Sorry, my bad.
I was just curious if that's like something that was relevant like to this stuff. Then again, I can't be a hypocrite. Whatever. I fucking brought a whole subject completely not related to this.
That's right. So I like one of the points towards the end of it, which is like when you have open access to information, it basically nullifies the role of advertising because you just get the thing that best suits your needs, and you would just always get the best. There would be no cheap food, there would be no cheap clothing, like none of this would occur. Society would make only the best and give you choice of things that are the best, you know what I mean?
I thought advertising was interesting the way it kind of ties back into slavery. Is really, like keeping the population ignorant has been the good way to essentially have slavery as a mass sort of way of getting to the good. As you progress like into the industrial revolution and stuff like that, and then once you get to that stage, you have to have at least a semi-intelligent population in order to deal with it. So how do you kind of like encapsulate them into something? You basically raise the bar all the time by advertising, so that they seem to sort of focus on what they think they need in order to achieve this lifestyle that's always going to be a little bit above theirs, and keep them away from thinking of other things such as this.
Like advertise MTV cribs with some nice cars, and then a shittier car, but still costs a lot more.
Spend more hours at work harder, then you might get the.
Yeah. that's the dream, isn't it? Oh shit. Yeah, I suppose that it made a lot of sense actually. I've seen the whole documentary, but they advised also on the TROM to have a look at such films as Consuming Kids, and another one I can't remember, the Brand of Cool, something about cool.
Branches of Cool. I have branches.
Okay, thank you. And that's, just watching the whole Consuming Kids, it's... So at what point are you a fucking pedophile? Like, do you really have to stick it in? Like, do you know what I mean? So all this observation and looking at a child. I mean, at their fucking toilet, dude. Like, really, what is there so extraordinary? You're gonna have to. There's no lengths not worth going for when the dollar is higher at the other end. I mean, it doesn't seem to be any stopping point. So that's the thing. I mean, we were discussing at some point the what is it? The appeal of horror movies, right? And how far do they go? Like, I mean, you've seen now more or less everything. You've seen black, white, brown, purple people being decimated, their guts pulled out. They have to eat their guts, or somebody's cooking their own dick. And my friend just very simply said, "Look, don't you think the next thing, really, that is the only thing left for you to be shocked at, is to see a baby killed or like fucked and killed? Like it's gonna be a borderline of a snuff movie in order to do anything for you emotionally anymore, because you're so fucking numb. Like you've seen people's nails being taken out through their eye sockets or whatever the fuck it is. Like however creative you think you can get, it's been done. So like it's now getting stale. So somebody needs to up the ante. Well, if you do that, I mean, are you going to be considered a criminal? You know what I mean? And I think it's the same borderline that's, right, Kyle is saying Serbian movie. I have not traded that situation yet. But essentially, that's all I'm getting at. The point is, like, are we going to essentially see in the next few years, you know, kids, or rather, advertising to kids being so fucking violent that perhaps even parents are gonna sort of hide that shit from them because they're gonna realize the subliminal message behind it? Or is it still gonna be okay because your 10-year-old daughter wants a dildo because it's fashionable, you know? That's an interesting question.
My one trend that I really do not enjoy is I think that advertising to children is going to become more invisible to their parents. It's going to start coming through their personalized devices, like their phones and all that stuff. All the free games out there constantly have in-app adverts and click-to-buys, pay-as-you-play stuff, aimed at manipulating kids completely. Like, no one in their right mind would pay £80 in one lump sum for some imaginary, like, coins in a game which can help you complete it. But they have this option. They have this option for the kids that just go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the parents who are silly enough to have put in their credit card details. But all the advertising now is going to become personalized straight to the children. It's not going to go through a TV so much.
You are correct. There was a story. I think it was in the 100,000s of actual pounds sterling that I can't remember, it's like 12 or 13-year-old guy spent on Xbox Live. Their parents left the credit card details and he just fucking cleared it out. That was the most amazing thing, man. It's just, fair enough, obviously I'm just laughing now at the tragedy of the parents' ignorance, but it's a high-tech society, man. If you think you can sort of hide in some fucking cavity of, you know, what, your kitchen or wherever the fuck you spend most of your time, and, you know, the child is gonna sort of go on, what, gaining values on his fucking own? What, are you crazy? So, to me, that was just like, yeah, well, at least now you have the after effects of, I shouldn't let that have happened. It's like, yeah, well, 100K is still with Microsoft now, not with you. So, you know, it's a painful lesson, but I agree with you. And all this stuff right now, by the way, in E3, all of these people, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, are pushing for that shit like there's no tomorrow. All of it. For you. It's yours. You make it happen. It's all streamlined. It's all easy. It's all accessible. And just like Aiden pointed out, it's exactly what they're going for. It's so that the decision scope is going to get more and more narrow, and then by the time, you know, whatever, the technology is going to allow for such easy flow of money, and such stories, as I just pointed out, perhaps are going to be becoming even more commonplace, because more and more games, as you've pointed out, do actually allow for that. If anything, encourage that. It's, you know, it's true.
I think when it comes to games, like, unless they're going to bring out PlayStation 6 with a fucking hologram, why am I going to buy it? You know what I mean? It's like you're saying about films. It's all been done before. it's pick up a gun, shoot somebody and die. That's most games that I've seen lately. Like, there's only like Rocksmith that I play anymore, like in my own home, because at least like it's not just a virtual reward. When I finish on Rocksmith, I can take the guitar and plug it in the amp and play. But like other games, they've all been done before, and there's nothing new. I mean, even the graphics. I've seen the graphics on, I think it's the Xbox One, and they just look the same as the old Xbox. So I don't get how they're gonna do anything new.
Well, supposedly they are upgrading them, but it's like it's getting to such finicky detail that no one cares.
Yeah.
It's like recording audio at like 96 kilohertz. Like you can only hear up to 48, 44 kilohertz. Like sample rate. Like there's no point in recording that high unless you're going to start doing stuff like down tempoing it and doing some weird sampling stuff. Then it's okay. But for normal, like there's absolutely no need.
Well done, and that's precisely what John Carmack, to those who don't know him, the founder and creator of Doom series and programmer of many, many very useful programs, and essentially he said this, that when people ask, you know, so what's happening, is there going to be better graphics, and he just said, look, the human eye can only see so much. We can fucking make it better, but it's going to be for eagles or owls, so if you want that, sure, yeah, we'll do that. But you're not going to be paying your fucking money to see that because your eye cannot conceive of it anymore. So what you said about decibels and hearing, it's precisely that for eyes. It's like you won't give a fuck. At a certain point, even people who are analyzing this same very subject said the people who are outside of the gaming and they're not even aware of what it is, they will look at the previous generation and this one and they'll say, so why did you buy the new one again? Because that's it. Like their eyes are not adept, nor do they need to be adept. Like if you can't see it immediately, you know the product is shit. That's period. That's it. You know what I mean? But they're able to spin it. They're able to spin it the same way of why Shepard Fairey, or AKA Obey, is able to get away and get so much recognition for just a simple fucking icon of a dead wrestler. I mean, of all things, right? That you can iconography, you know, choose to iconify. You chose a dead wrestler, and he even said this in many times. It was just a fucking goof. But it grew. Like, the perceived power gained real power because nobody wanted to be the last in on something new. And that just sounds fucking amazing to me. And, like, I'm just thinking, how the fuck do we do that for TVP? How do you make it so that, hey, yo, did you hear about that fucking thing? And people be like, what? No. You know, they'd be, like, starting to feel insecure. And then the next thing you know, people are talking about human behavioral fucking mechanistic approaches. And you're like, how did this happen? By, you know, by applying clever fucking tactics, but I'm just not aware what it is.
It's almost like we need to become master advertisers ourselves.
Yeah, we need a marketing department.
Well, there are people from marketing and your social media department which they're angling towards that. But yeah, we need some more expertise in this area. And just through all our experience and different people around the world in different countries doing talks and stuff like that. Like there was a talk in Italy just lately, and I haven't got a full debrief yet. But when I know exactly like how it went well or what wasn't so good, then I can start feeding that into say my talk in September, and all this kind of thing. We can all feed off each other around the world because no one knows what they're doing. But yeah. Carl had a really good point earlier. Let's go back to this one. So I'm just going to raise it out, speak it out. Which is raise our own bar in anti-advertising. We sell to our friends daily, but not for money. Might be to hit the pub, catch a band, or take a walk. But you have to advertise the benefit for them to want you to do it. Really badly quoted. That was a really good point, and he highlights that communication is on the scale, and like advertising is very similar to communication. You're trying to get someone else to do it.
I've done a lot of door-to-door sales. Like, it was all about charity. The main thing I was selling was charity, and the way they allow, because I said I was just finding it hard to get people to it. It was stupid that the people didn't want to be interested in helping out deaf kids, because these are people who just had a kid. They're like, do you know if your kid's actually knowing what you're saying? Can they hear you? Well, I haven't got a clue. But you're still not willing to sign up to help deaf kids, even though that child right there could very well have a hearing difficulty. No. So I couldn't get around that. And the guy that was training me basically said, look, think about it. You sell to your mates every day, no matter what it is you want. If you want a cigarette off your mate, or if you want your mate to call around and have a blast on FIFA with you, anything like that, you got to convince them that whatever they're doing is less interesting and fun and less worthwhile for them than coming around my house and doing what I want to do. And we're really bastard good at that, because we've all got friends, and I guarantee every one of us has got a DVD or something, or a book that's our friends. So we've lent that. We've convinced them to trust us to lend that, and they should do, because you're a friend. You're not going to rub it off them, but you've had to convince them that it was a good idea to give you that product for the time being, or to help you out doing something, or whatever it was. So if we're that adept at doing it for little things, like going for a beer, taking a jog on the park, playing a game of football, it's the same with engineers. Just scale up on a model. Just scale the fuck up. Just if you know why you believe in the Venus Project and a resource-based economy and stuff like that, and if you can just give them an ounce of why you believe it, there's no way any intelligent person, or someone who claims to be an intelligent person, couldn't at least see where you're coming from. It's hard to get them to listen in the first place, but once you've nailed getting that person to listen, they can't ignore it. You can't ignore fact. If I put a gun to your face and say, I'll pull the trigger, you're going to die, you're not going to ignore that. You know it's fact. So once you can show them, like, even if it's a snippet of an automated lettuce factory in Japan, that literally no man has to be there to grow lettuce, and then you can show them a 3D printer that's printing people like amputee legs, and smartphones that can be printed, computer chips are printed, and that paint is going to be solar panelled in the next 5 years. There's no, given just those 3 or 4 small examples, anyone can think that the fundamentals of our society isn't going to just literally be underpinned with a different set of structures is beyond me. It's just there.
It amazes me too, Kyle. Like I'll show people, like I said, tangible things like the machines in our warehouse, the self-service checkouts, automated answering machines. But they'll still go, it'll never happen. They'll always say something stupid, ridiculously stupid, like, they'll bring a law in to stop all machines taking all those jobs. Why haven't they done that yet? You know what I mean? Like, the limit.
Take the jobs, because those jobs are shit.
Yeah, exactly my point.
Do you know what I mean? They are. I'd rather not work than work in a call centre. Quite honestly, I'd rather not have anything to go and spend than work in a call centre, because you're on minimum wage. No one in a call centre has a day where they don't get shouted at. So that means the people you're on the phone to didn't want you anyway. So who are you providing a service to? Because if they didn't want you, you didn't want to be there when you got up in the morning. The only people that wanted you there is your boss. No one else gets anything out of it other than the boss. Do you mean it's an awkward one? But like I say, I couldn't even bring myself to put an application form in to anyone that is more than a 3-man band. Do you mean you know that someone's earning money off your back. So, but the current system is, if you're a barman and you earn £6.30 an hour, once you sell 3 Guinnesses, that's your £6.30 an hour. Everything else you take for the next hour is clean profit for the guy above you. Like, by going into a job like that, if you allow yourself to sign up to that and tick the dotted line saying I agree to the terms and conditions of my slavery, well, I can't help you. Because you've read it and you've gone, do you know what, I'm going to get up every day and work my bollocks off for £6.30 an hour, maybe get a holiday, well, knowing full well that the guy that owns the company has got 3 cars, a jet, a boat and 2 whores for wives. But people still, they get up every day and they go and do the same thing. Do you know, that's where I can't see why people are going to continue to do it for the next 50 years. I can't see that happening.
Oh no. Like people, most of these like people they just haven't thought about this. It's just put upon them through advertising, through our education system, which is another form of advertising. There's just, you have to do this at certain points. Say when I come back from my travelling, I'm just going to be like, I need a job. I'm probably going to have to sign to something that I don't quite want to do. but angle it towards where I want to go. And it's the same with everyone. If you have a mortgage, you have a kid, and you lose your job, it's like, well, you just need another job now because you just need money that next month. And so you sign up to things that like tie you in for 5 years.
Yeah, like one of the lads, he's always going on about all these people on tour, and I'm like, look, you don't want to work here, you hate your job. So what are you talking about? You know what I mean? He's complaining about, you know, the benefit stream, stuff like that. And then I'll say, oh, why are you complaining about these? Look at the family life. There's a bit of difference by how much they take. And to be fair, I don't like my job.
No, it does. But the way I've looked at it is, it sounds stupid because for 27 years I bought into the system 125%. I saved money to buy an Xbox game. I bought games the day they come out, and I knew full well that FIFA games, Call of Duty games, they're betas. We beta testing them because there's an update the day after it comes out.
Yeah.
So I knew I was getting mugged off. I quite readily admitted I was getting mugged off, and I slated them all the day they come out. But I pre-ordered the next fucking game. I wanted that game so badly, like, and now I look at the game. I haven't played my Xbox for about a month and a half, because every time I turn it on, I had Street Fighter Turbo as a download for free the other day, and I thought, oh, buzzing, an old game, it's going to bring back some youth. I turned it on and I went, I'm not reading about engineering, fuck this, and turned it off. I couldn't be out. I couldn't. It just didn't get me anymore. That whole the escape I used to get from an Xbox, I now fill my time by getting fucked off at the unfair trade. Like, I'm reading this book, Unfair Trade. I'll post it to any of you if you want to read it. It's disgusting, but it'll just open your mind to it. And unless I'm doing stuff like that, educating myself or trying to educate someone else, I feel hollow inside. It's hard enough when people don't want to listen, but when if I'm not trying, it feels even worse. So I've given up on the Xbox. I can't be bothered with it. Bill Gates has got more than enough. He don't need it. He doesn't need it. But I can go on my iPhone now, and I can have an emulator and play any number of games for free. I can pirate the games for free, and I know for a fact it is not funding terrorism because I didn't pass to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, do you mean I know it's a false system that's set up. That little girl that comes up and says piracy is a crime with the best download speed ever, the bitch, right? You all know, because you can't fund piracy if you don't fund it. So anything that you enjoy, if you do it for free and you give it away for free, they're never going to catch you and arrest you because none of us are owning the torrent websites. So you can give all your friends free movies and free games and free stuff, and fuck the advertising because you haven't paid for it in the first place. So crack on, make your game, think we're paying for it, and no, we're not paying for it, but we're going to enjoy it anyway. And if you can get other people to just start downloading and stuff like that, then they give up on it, then their £10 stays in their pocket. They don't go to the cinema and spend 30 quid on a shit movie. So, like I say, you can use advertising that's out there to your advantage. Because every one of them's a lie, so you just underpin the lie and it falls apart.
See, I think like an analogy I thought earlier was, you know, when the oldest person you know that's stuck with a house phone and they won't get a mobile phone because they'd have to learn how to work it. That's how I see a lot of my friends now.
Yeah.
Like they have to learn about a resource-based economy, so they'd rather just stick with the old shitty system than learn about something new.
Well, education was forced on them, so they want to learn.
I think it's like that's what I mean by the culture. Like we're waiting on people that still believe in the old system.
But touch wood, and apologies to anyone whose grandparents are in the end days, but that generation is in the end days, and they are the golden generation. If it wasn't for them, we'd have been fucked a long time ago. But it's our time now. Thank you very much for freeing women's rights and giving blacks rights and things like that, and stopping child abuse and things like that, or trying your best to stop it. But thanks for the foundation. Now it's our time to build. So if we don't pick up a trowel and a brick and start going, well, that's my piece of input, may as well go home. Just back up and go home, because the only thing you should be scared of doing isn't failing, it's just not trying. As soon as you try, that you've mastered failure, you've beaten failure straight away, because you've actually done something. Even if only one person pays attention to 1% of what you said, that's 1% that they never would have heard. and that's gonna stick in their brain. They're gonna get home and go, well, my mate Mick, he knows what he's on about. He ain't a dickhead. What is it? RBE. Let's have a look at the shit, their bed. So my kids haven't got a slave and toil. I'm up for a bit of that. Done, I'm sold. And that's what it is. Just tell them about their kids. Tell them that their kids aren't gonna have to put up with what we put up with. And that'll sell any parent, without a doubt. Any parent. Isaiah, how you doing, man?
What's up? Yo.
What's happening?
Hey, welcome. Did you done
Thank you. This is my first hangout. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, awesome. I was actually just about to wrap this up. Well, I'll do is I'll stop the broadcast, but we'll continue talking in a sec.